begin to affect the mind. See? You're going into a stage of objects to ideas, from ideas to subtle ideas, and from subtle ideas to formlessness, and back out again. The word is always generating. The Tantras say, nobody sounds the word. It sounds itself, and it sounds eternally. So we're to believe then, and this is verified by Sri Ramakrishna's experience. He says so in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He said, when I first came upon the Om inside of myself, I saw that all the worlds were being generated out of it, and they were also being drawn back into it. And no time was passing. No time was passing. So you see how name, form, time, space, and causality, if that gets a hold of the mind, it begins to believe that time is real. Time is an illusion. You can prove it to yourself in a coma. Prove it to yourself in a deep sleep tonight. Think about it. It's not linear. It's not even real. It's an illusion. So this word sounds eternally, and as it sounds, everything is sustained. And it takes your consciousness put together with the word to discern this. If your consciousness becomes aware of the word, then it sees Srishti Rahasya, the secret of all creation. The Tantrists call that secret of all creation. That is, that nothing is ever created, it's only projected by vibration. And that vibration plays for a while and withdraws itself. Think of a bell. You sound the bell, the sound is there, it decays, then where does dies away, right? But the sound is still back in the bell, right? It originated in the bell, and all it needs to be is struck again. The bell is the perfect representation for the word Om. Tom, if you will, T-O-M, is like Om, you see. So there's the strike, there's the sustenance of the sound, and then there's the return of the sound to the bell. The word is with God. So everything is sounding continually like that, and no time passes. Time happens at a much lower level. And so does space, and so does cause and effect. So when you're in such a place as to hear the word Om, like the yogis do in caves and so forth, then you've transcended time at that. You could meditate for months and not know how long you've been sitting. Even in your 1 hour sitting tomorrow morning, which I hope you all do, your hour could seem like a minute if it was a timeless meditation. But 1 minute of your meditation could seem like an hour the next day if time is kicked in, you see. You feel all your sufferings, you feel your knees, you feel your back, you feel your mind restless. Not a good meditation, right? They say. Not that that's really the point. So it's hard to say, seers don't sit to meditate anymore. My teacher never came down to meditate with us in the shrine room. He made us do that. He wouldn't meditate anymore. Why? Because all of life had become a meditation to him. He was seeing God everywhere. He didn't need to sit down and try and see God anymore. Everything became God for him because he had practiced. And when the practice reaches fruition, everything was Brahman. Everything was the word. Everything was vibration. If you saw an ignorant person or a realized soul, they were the same Atman. One just wasn't in recognition of it, and the other was. That's the only difference. So if you practice meditation, then you cut time down. There's a song in India that says, practice meditation and cut time down. That's one of the lines of the song. And so you're going to cut time down, kala, and you're going to cut space away, because this space will disappear when you go into meditation. And when you go to sleep tonight, your bedroom will disappear. You'll be in some other place inside of you, you see. Some kingdom of heaven within you you've gone to. And your eye might be open there, but you forget it when you come back through the veil of Maya. This is called the curtain of nescience in Buddhism, or the cloud of unknowing. It's a very difficult thing to penetrate through. It happens right about here. See, there's a membrane that keeps the separation between the third eye and the crown chakra. And there's another separation right between the heart and the navel, which is a granthi. It's called a knot, or a subtle membrane, which souls cannot get away from their ancestors. They keep being reborn and born into lower states of existence. So these are called granthis, or curtains of nescience. Very difficult to penetrate in deep meditation. So you would be penetrating those if you left the world of objects and began to ascend. This would be called an inward ascension, not an upward ascension, I hope you realize. An inward ascension, because that's why she says, I move through the 3 millions of nadis located in the sacred human form. 3 million nadis. She's not talking about just your physical nerves, which are carrying prana, life force, but she's talking about nerves inside of nerves, which consciousness, intelligence flows through. And that's how souls get out of their bodies and back into their bodies, is through these subtle nerves. This body with its gross nerves is just an outer template, a sort of metaphor of the subtle body inside of you and the causal body inside of that. You thought of these little Russian dolls that you've seen that fit inside each other? It's like that. Your gross body fits inside the subtle body. That subtle body fits inside a causal body, and the causal body is in Brahman. Causal body is like Om. And all comes out again and goes back in all the time. Nice fit, you see. Perfect. Just like that. And it's also like the 3 states of your awareness, AUM. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. All these things connect in triputis. So if you spill out of the Pashanti level, then you come to the Madhyama level. It's called middling. Madhyama just means middling. And see what it says here? It says basically that thought vibration as concepts begin to appear. So in the Madhyama level, it would be like the inventor thinking of his inventions. He's got all these thoughts here. He hasn't put the thought of his object together with its form, and his form of the object together with its meaning, and the meaning of the object together with its sound, and the sound of its object together with its actual form. All of these are disparate right now in his mind, and he's trying to bring them together, right? He's trying to invent a slide rule. So he hasn't come up with the word slide rule yet, and he hasn't come up with all the concepts that are a part of that, but it's beginning to gel and come together. That's Madhyama stage, only at her level. That is, basically all worlds are beginning to formulate out of intelligence, out of her intelligence. They're beginning to congeal. Only beginning to, though. They don't actually congeal until the gross state of the word, Vaikari. So these 4 stages of the word are one way in which Veda and Tantra tells us of the beginning or the origins of all things, and how everything fits back into consciousness, and how it transcends Maya. Now, the Vaikari stage there is knowledge made manifest. Read my chart. Knowledge made manifest. Objects are just thought concretized. We have to start making that connection. And actually, when I said earlier in the class that you connect your eyes to sun, you connect your nose to earth, and your taste to water, that's what you're beginning to do. You're beginning to realize, Panchakarna style, that your 5 senses created the 5 elements, connected to subtle senses, which are in your dream state tonight, connected to subtle elements, which are also in your dream state tonight. So if you say 5, 5, 5, and 5, you have 20. 5 gross elements, 5 subtle elements, 5 gross senses, and 5 subtle senses, right? So those 20 tattvas or principles make up your subtle and gross body, you see, make up your 2 states of your awareness. And they're your awareness. And you formulate your world every day, and you take it back into dissolution tonight in deep sleep, and you bring it forth again. And if you get 7 billion people doing this all at the same time, it seems very real. Collective consciousness is dreaming. It's mass collective mental dreaming is what's going on. And worlds are being formed and torn down all the time by it. Depending on if they go into pralaya, how often they go into pralaya and how often they come out in sport. You say, oh, Johnny, can Johnny come out and play? You see, then the sport happens, you see. So when these people come out to play, that is when they come into form, they bring out of the word all of this potential called shakti, and they begin manipulating it. Some do it very poorly, some do it very selfishly, some do it very virtuously, some don't do it at all. Some stay away from it. Too dangerous. You get caught there. And so all levels of that kind of dynamism are there in the word. But this shows you in 4 stages how things come out of the word. So it begins to explain to you that cryptic statement of Christ when he said, in the beginning there was the Word, it was with God, and then it was God. And then it became all things. So it's another way of saying all of this is my own intelligence. I've given a word to tree, I've given a form to tree, that tree is a part of my thought process. I did all that at this stage. And I'm going to dissolve it. And there's not going to be any tree anymore, you see. The tree is held in potential here. The tree doesn't exist here anymore, even in thought. And this is how things come out of formlessness and go back into formlessness all the time, from the eternal to the non-eternal and back to the eternal in endless cycles. Buddha saw that, said, I want out. This was called kaivalya, separation from nature. I want to separate myself from nature. I do not want to be under the auspice of name, form, time, space, and causation anymore. I want to be free. I want to know my true Buddha nature. It took him 49 days. It took Christ about that time in the wilderness, right? It took Muhammad on the mountain about that time. They all go away for about 40 days. If you read all the different scriptures, there's this 40-day thing that's going on. See, with these souls that just all of a sudden decided, I want out of vibration. I want to see my vibrationless nature because I am my vibrationless nature. Why should I be anything else than perfect? Be thee perfect as thy Father in heaven is perfect. So with these ideas around the word Om, we'll look at him when we come back from our break. So let's take our break now. Thank you for your kind attention. And now, in the second half of our class, we have about 1 hour left to immerse ourselves deeper in teachings of the Divine Mother. In this series called, remember, Shakta Advaita Vada. Shakta, the dynamic power of reality, known as Divine Mother or the primordial goddess. Advaita, the non-dual thread that runs through all religions, all philosophies, the I and my Father kind of teaching, or one. And Vada, path. So it's the path of non-duality as revealed through the Divine Mother, Darshana. The word Darshana is a very beautiful word in India because it means a way of clear seeing. Some of you might have heard, oh, I'm going to go to this particular person on a throne and get some darshan. See? So it means going and having some holy company. But basically, the original meaning of the word, the root meaning of the word is to see clearly. So if you go to an illumined soul, you'll begin to see clearly, no doubt. But you can also go towards these teachings of the Divine Mother. They're called darshanas. And actually, I'll show you some of them in terms of astika and nastika, the words on either side of these two pillars, hopefully before the end of this class. But first I want to flesh out and continue and conclude these two bijams. And then we will have done her crown pretty much. We will have looked at Brahman, looked at Atman, and looked at Om and Hrim. And then we can go on looking at some of these pillars that are supports around her. But enough to know that this Divine Mother reality is Shakti, and the path is called Shaktism. Now, if you follow Krishna, then it's called Vaishnavism. You're a worshipper of Vishnu, because out of Vishnu came Ram and Krishna and all the avatars. Here, you see on this chart, avatars all came out of Vishnu. So those are Vaishnavas. That's their particular penchant or path. If you're a worshipper of Lord Shiva, then you're a Shaivite. And if you worship the elephant-headed god, who's actually up here on our wall, blessing everything because he's the god of auspiciousness and good fortune, then you're a Ganapatya. You worship Ganesha. So these are called different darshanas, different sects of India that, and there are some astika and some nastika. Astika means orthodox ones, and nastika means non-orthodox ones, and they're both accepted in India, and they both have great value and great merit. So we'll look at that soon. Just know that that's sort of where you are now, philosophically, as a location, is in the Shakta Advaita Vada realm, or we call it a loka. These worlds down here are called lokas on the chart, these flowers strewn about. We think of them as worlds strewn about her feet. There's different kingdoms of heaven within, many, many different lokas. So this is the Burloka, the loka of physical beings and physical objects. And then there are many other lokas within inside of you that are made of different things, like, for instance, intelligence. We ended up looking at that chart about the stages of the word when we ended the first half of the class. And now I've put up this chart just to, as I say, fill out this bijam, Om and Hrim. This really gives you a good idea of how to connect. Now, in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam again, she says, one should go into the region where there is no speech or thing spoken. Now, if you're looking at that in terms of this, then you want to go toward the Prashanti and Para state. That's within you, right? The word is within you. So you want to go into the realm, in meditation, she means, where there is no thing or no word spoken. No name and form, right? Isn't that what we're trying to do when we meditate, basically? And so what do they tell us? Watch your breath. So you start watching your breath, and marvelously so, as soon as you watch your breath, the problems of name and form go away. You don't think of anything but the breath. So it gives you something to focus on. Higher than that would be, say the mantra. Because that has Om and Hrim and Aim and Shrim, as we were singing, in it, you see. They sing about the word in so many different ways. I was just thinking about that. We sing quite often. Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatita Niranjanaha Vedantam Bhujam Suryaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatita Niranjanaha Hindu Nada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Chaitanyaha Shashvataha Shanto Vyomatita Niranjanaha Bindu Nada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. That's the particular verse of the Guru Stotram, of which I was just singing, that correlates with this particular teaching. It is basically Chaitanya means consciousness, with a capital C, not just your thinking process, and in all its various levels, but actually the presence of consciousness that is the foundation behind everything. You are consciousness, Chaitanyaha. Shashvata Shanto should be Shanti, peaceful. With a peaceful consciousness then, Vyomatita Niranjanaha, with a stainless wind, with the stainless wind of your thought. Contemplate Bindu, Nada, and Kalatita. Bindu is the primordial seed of things. Nada is the soundless sound, the sound of God, sound of Om. And Kalatita, Kala means time. See? So you must go beyond the original seed, the web of time, and the primordial sound, and salute the Supreme Guru there. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. See, that's Supreme Consciousness. So this is how they sing about the word in my tradition. See, they have not just enough to say a few things about it, they want you to know how it's connected into everything. So therefore, you bring out teachings like this from the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. Go beyond the region where there is no speech or thing spoken, absolutely free of dualities, called Akhanda Satchidananda. There, with Om, meditate on the highest flame of consciousness. In this rare meditation, great beings have destroyed ignorance, realized their perfect nature, and established identity of the Jiva with Brahman, of the Jivatman, the apparently individualized soul, with the Supreme Soul. Jivatman with Brahman. So that's her advice in her scripture, Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. She beautiful advice to follow, even if you just take that one sloka out of that scripture and just concentrate on that, that's going to be enough for you. Now, if you want more, if you want to know, and you should want to know more about what Om and Hrim mean, which are these great bijams that are on either side of her crown there, then you can see what they all represent. And out of the scriptures it says here, from Adya Shakti, that's the supreme original Shakti, that's her, from Adya Shakti issues the first letter, Om. Now if you want it metaphorically, it's Brahma. Don't make a mistake between Brahma and Brahman. Brahman's the formless absolute reality. Brahma is the creator God. See? And he goes along with Vishnu and Shiva, right? Creation, preservation, and destruction. That's the Trinity. So the Trinity aligns with the AUM of Om. So now you're beginning to put together the cosmic personality in its threefold nature with the Word. So you didn't get this teaching in any other location or place. All of a sudden now you're getting the Word filled out for you, what it really means. Now you can contemplate on it. Now you can think about it. Now you can get somewhere with it. Before it's just a hum in your head. Oh, I heard the Om. Very good. Keep meditating. See? But make something out of that meditation with your own intelligence. Trace it to its source. Ramakrishna used a story of a man getting out of his carriage at the beach, sand dune after sand dune, but he can hear a sound. So he follows across that sand, dune after dune. Every dune he passes, the sound gets closer and closer and closer. It begins to roar. He bursts over the last sound barrier there, the sand dune, and he sees the ocean. Sailboats, children playing, everyone swimming. So he says that's how you must trace Om back inside of yourself. You hear it as a distant sound, then you concentrate on it. Pretty soon it begins to occur to you left and right, and you give up the left and you go to the right. The right side of your head is the right side to meditate on Om. And then you begin to hear the Om and you follow it inwardly, and you're like merging with the primordial sound, with the unstruck sound, which is emanating inside of you as the source of everything, vibrationally. So when we talk about Lord Brahma, then we must sing this, Guru Brahma, I just sang it, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. That's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Now, what are some other connections here? A is the immanent world, U is the transcendent world, and M is the absolute world. Your three worlds. You might have heard of those in Hinduism. Talk about the three worlds all the time. Then there's the one I've been using a lot, Advaitically, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. That's commented on by Gaudapada, the great Advaitist, in about 500 AD. And it goes way, way back in time to Lord Vashishta and before. A way of looking at your consciousness that is completely non-denominational, non-religious. I just have a waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state. I must examine those. They're the AUM of Om. And most interestingly, what happened to me when I went into deep sleep? Where was I? Who was I? Would be a better word. So that's another triputi. These are called triputis that go with the word. Speech, life force, and mind. Speech to begin things, life force to sustain them, and mind to bring them to full fruition. Mother, Father, and Guru go with AUM of Om. Mother creates, gives birth, Father sustains and protects, and Guru dissolves and destroys. What does he destroy? Your ignorance. Because if you keep being born again and again with Mother and Father and you don't know who they are and who you are, then you need a Guru to destroy all your false conceptions and all your problems you had with your blood family. There's your blood family, that's your karma family. Then there's your spiritual family. That's your akarma family. No karma there, see. So what you want to look for is your spiritual family. And then go back to your blood family and tell them what you found. Free them. Get free yourself, then free them. That's what Buddha did. Left the palace, got nirvana, went back, and told his family, the Sakya clan, rich, powerful clan at that time, about nirvana and about the Buddha way. So Mother, Father, Guru are great teaching. That's why, and we sing it as often as we can. Namrichor Nashanka Name Jati Beda Pita Naiva Me Naiva Mata Majan Maha Shidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Om. Have to begin with the word and end with the word. All beginnings, middles, and ends happen because of the word. So, Namrichor Nashanka Name Jati Beda. I have no death, Mrichor. Why? Because I was never born. You are unborn. You, the Atman, the soul, her pet, she has invested you with the Atman. See? You are indestructible. You are birthless. You are deathless. You are beyond Maya. You are transcendent of nature. I and my mother are one. See? So that's what is meant by the Vedanta Dindima. It is the great declaration of the Vedanta, the great Siddhanta or conclusion of this wonderful Ashtaka Darshana called Vedanta. So that's what we're teaching here, basically, mostly is grounded in the Vedanta that Vivekananda has brought to us. So, Namrit Jorna Shanka, Name Jati Beda, I have no birth, I have no death. Then he goes on to say, Mata Majanmaha, Pita Naiva Me Naiva. I never had a father, I never had a mother. And then he ends it by singing, Chidananda, I am the bliss of pure conscious awareness, Shivaham, Shivaham, I am Shiva. I am the destroyer of everything. I am the destroyer of everything that supposes itself upon me. Every false assumption that I have in my mind, every false superimposition that nature foists upon me, every falsity that society foists upon me, I am the destroyer of that. I am free. Isn't it beautiful? Stand up and destroy your bonds. Be a slave to no one. Be free. Ever free, never bound. It was a phrase that he coined. Ever free, never bound. The Atman is never free, ever bound. So don't identify with the body anymore. Identify with your Atman, your true nature, your divine nature. Liable of liable, it is the greatest sin to call another a sinner, he said. This is the Christ of this age. See? Doesn't it sound like Christ? Liable of liable, it's the greatest sin to call another sinner. Man is divine by nature. He is God walking around on two legs. The sooner you realize that, the better it will be for you and for everyone around you. Why delay anymore? See? Why detain? This is the purpose of life. Everyone's talking about the meaning of life, the meaning of life. Oh, what's the meaning of life? Let's get down to the real purpose of life, to realize your divine nature. Then you'll find out life doesn't have any particular meaning. Why should life have a meaning? It's Maya. Does a circus going around and around, a circus wheel, have meaning? Doesn't it make you nauseous after a while? Do you want to get off? Throw up all that popcorn you ate? The world is just popcorn, you see. All the experiences are just candy. And you'll get sick on that merry-go-round, so get off. See? Get off the circle of Maya and know yourself to be the master of Maya. See? The divine form, God in human form. Did Christ want you just to become his bondslave, or did he say, be thee perfect as thy Father in heaven is perfect? Did he say, I'm perfect, you're not? Or did he want you to realize the same Christ consciousness that was in him, in you? And that's the real purpose of life, because everything else in life becomes divine life. You have nets, you have wives, you have huts, you have fish, you have loaves. You have a good life, but what you don't have is an eternal life. I've come here to give you an eternal life. Didn't John the Baptist tell you I was coming? So there's always a harbinger, a forerunner, and then there's the appearance of a great soul every 500 years or so. At 500 years between Buddha and Christ. Buddha was first, you see. And there were many before Buddha. And then another 500 years to Gaudapada and Shankar. Another 500, 600 years to Chaitanya. Chaitanya, consciousness itself. then Ramakrishna came marching forward in the early 1800s. So every 500, 600, 700 years there's this great soul that comes. And it's coming out of her as avatar. Not in your Hollywood sense. The real Sanskrit article, you see. The divine descent, avatar, that one who comes down, you see. Trikona, triangle, down. Coming down from the highest chakra down into this morass of Maya and matter. To make sense out of things for you. Not to shed his blood for you, God forbid. To be an exemplar for you. Christ is not a savior in my tradition. He's an exemplar. He comes to show the way. Why would we want anyone else to die for our sins? We should suffer our own sins. That would be manlike, you see. No. The avatar is not a savior. It's an exemplar. Use it as an exemplar. It's a doorway, not a doormat. So, finishing up these triputis, feminine, masculine, neuter, activity, balance, and inertia, that's here. Activity is vikshepa, balance is prakasha, inertia is avarana. That's tamas, rajas, and sattva. That's, I'm lazy sometimes, now I'm restless, now I'm balanced. I'm neither restless nor lazy. And those three are going through my mind all the time. And they're going through a river every time, and an ocean every time. All things in form take on the three gunas, three modes of nature. So if you know them connected to the AUM, then you'll be able to resolve them. Past, present, and future are called the three phases of time. There's also a being called Trikaladarshi. Trikala, the three phases of time. Darshi, seer. I just said the word darshana, right, is to see clearly. Trikaladarshi. Who's the seer of the three phases of time? Lord Shiva. He sees it come, he watches it play, and he cuts it away at the end, dissolves it back into its source. Lord Shiva and Shakti, always together, you see. And then gross form, subtle form, causal form. I hope I've been able to convey something of the profundity of the word to you in this hour and a half we've been talking about it. Let's look at her power bijam now. This is Brahman's power bijam, formlessness. It's the doorway. In fact, I was saying this third eye really signifies the highest because it's two-petaled. If you've studied this Kundalini system, you know that each of these petals has a different number of chakras. See? This one is 1,000-petaled, which means infinite. But here is two-petaled. Why? Because consciousness comes out of it and consciousness goes back into it. Streams of souls are dissolving back into the word. Then when they want to come back out again for whatever reason, there are many reasons to come back into form, they'll come out of Om too and flow back down through the lower chakras. Through these 35 million of nadis that are in this marvelous cosmic form. Her form. You've seen rain hitting the window and then drops running down, the pain like that, see? So like souls running along nadis, coming down out of Om and reaching the bottom of the window pane. You see, they're coming back down, reaching the body. So they're coming out, and how are they doing it? Through the Shakti energy, through these subtle nerves that we can't see, that are inside the gross nerves. They say there's 100,000 subtle nerves inside of each one of your gross nerves. So if you were to cut all the gross nerves out of your body and tie them together, it's supposed to reach from here to New York, something like that. That's how many gross nerves you have in your body. But imagine how many subtle nerves inside of each gross nerves there are. That would reach from here to Vaikuntha and back. Or here to Kailas, his realm, and back, inwardly. So we have to start thinking in terms of the subtle. We move along subtle nerves when we go to sleep tonight. We don't just dream. We don't just go into deep sleep. Our consciousness travels. These are the kingdoms of heaven within you. Now you have to become aware of how you travel, how you move. Don't you plan out your vacation or your next trip to Seattle? See? Oh, I'll take this airline, and then I'll take this rent-a-car, and then I'll take this ferry. It's all nadis, isn't it? It's all paths you're traveling, but you have it all planned out. So why don't you do that when you go to sleep tonight? Let's see, who do I want to visit? Who's my daddy? You see, she was my daddy. I want to take subtle nerve passages back inside of me that end me up at his door so I can have darshan with him. Why? Because he's Trikaladarshi, the seer of the three phases of time, past, present, and future. He can tell me anything I want to know. And guess what? He's inside of me, not outside. I hope now that when you pray that you don't look up anymore, because there's nothing up there. The 5 elements aren't even up there. Probably only 3 of them are up there. You've got more down here than is up there, in other words. So when you pray inward to the kingdoms of heaven within you. You pray inward to gods and goddesses. You pray past the ancestors. And really, you pray to yourself. That's who you're praying to. Always and ever, you're only really praying to yourself. Now, realize that fact and grant your own prayer to yourself. Because the deeper inside you go, the less attractive this world will seem. And so your prayers will change. You'll start praying for a different level of attainment once you're inside of your own consciousness. Chaitanya. You're inside your own consciousness, your prayers will change. Your direction will change. Your impetus will change. Your energy will change. And your goal, your supreme goal, will change. Gatam, gatam, paragatam, Buddha said. I've gone beyond all goals, gatam, gatam, to the supreme goal, paragatam. If there's anything you should know about me, he said at the end of his life, it's that I am the awakened one. I have awakened. He didn't put any huge assignment upon himself about how great he was. Just know this one thing about me. I am the awakened one. Buddha means awakened. Also means intelligence. So, the bijam of formlessness, let's look at the bijam of form, hrim, her bijam. There you see she says, where Ichya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti all meet and merge. That's hrim. They all meet and merge. So great power there in her arms. See, sometimes she has 16 of them. See, or 10. It's all one goddess in many forms. Sometimes she has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, more. Really, the idea is that she's many-armed, 1,000-armed, that all beings are her arms. And she's getting her work done through all beings. Some of them are conscious of it, some of them aren't, that's all. So, now we know a little bit of the definition of hrim. It's where all those powers meet. What do they mean? Intelligence meets with will, which meets with activity, which meets with production. Basically what you're saying in a nutshell. Where all those things meet. Doesn't it sound like this? See, where all those things meet? I mean, there's your production. See, here's your ideas, your jnanam. Here's your action. And here's where everything's meeting, right? At the para level. That's called hrim. And there's its Sanskrit designation, if you want to see it, here. That's the bijam. Here's the Om bijam. Here's other bijams. This is Saraswati's bijam, Aim, and Krim, and Klim. Lakshmi's bijam. Other forms of God, they all have their bijam, or word of seat of power, see, which sort of designates that aspect of Mother that you're looking at or that you're propitiating, that you're bowing to, you're trying to get the grace of. Now, ha, ra, I, im. We've broken om into aum. You see, but now let's break cream into ha, ra, I, and im down here. So ha means gross form. That means 5 elements, physical body, and 5 active senses. 5 active senses would be procreation, elimination, locomotion, those kinds of things. So the Ha of Harim signifies your body, produced by Dravya Shakti, see, and it signifies the 5 gross senses and these 5 gross elements: air, earth, fire, water, ether. That's Ha of Harim. Now the Ra, the R, is subtle form. Your gross form is obvious, right? But your subtle form is beginning to be a little bit less clear. What I am in my dream body, for instance. What are the powers of my dream body? Can I experience lucid dreaming? Can I have anything I want in the dream state? Can I master the dream state? Because these 3 letters, you take them apart to master each of them. Master your waking, master your dreaming, and master your deep sleep state, and then you're the master of the word. Somebody wrote me a couple months ago and said, how do I render my dreams lucid? And I wrote back and said, that's easy. Render your waking state lucid. What your waking state is, your dream state will become, you see. Have you noticed? Have some foul thing happen to you, some horrible thing happen. I work with people in prison, you see, so somebody commits a murder and then they end up in jail, see. And now their dreams aren't so good, you see, because they're taking on the shade of the crime they did and the people they met that hate them, and so forth and so on, you see. So that happens to all level of beings on all level of their existence. Some people's dreams are sweet, innocent, naive. Some people's dreams are powerful, like having visions. Some people's dreams are spiritual. My God, I talk to my Sufi friends and they dream in Technicolor. See? And they see Muhammad every night in jeweled palaces. Where are those dreams? You see, I'd like to have one of those. So there are some very powerful levels of awareness. I was going to say out there, but I should say in there. See? Very powerful. So your subtle body is going to be a little bit more, subtle. There's not really another word in English. Sukshma, if I borrow it from Sanskrit, subtle. So it consists of the 5 pranas, the cognitive organs, the 5 tanmatras, and the fourfold mind. I'm already lost, you see. What do you mean by all that? Well, your 5 active senses have been as a part of your gross body, but you have 5 knowledge senses: seeing, tasting, touching, hearing, and smelling, right? Did you ever think that you might want to connect all of these? Because there's a great power in your senses. You're putting all that power outward. Now try and put it inward. The power of the eye to see objects, take that in, away from the objects. You cannot have it anymore, see. Go in. Power of the eyes to see, go in. Power of the tongue to taste, go in. I'll fast for a while. Power of the ears to hear, very powerful. See if it's taken inwardly, because you'll hear the Om. You might be able to hear this bijam, and that can transform you. So that's the 5 cognitive organs of your subtle body. So they teach you in India when you're young, oh my dear, you have 3 bodies, not just one. You have a gross body, yes, there it is. 5 elements, 5 organs of action and so forth. But you have a subtle body. It's a mental body, really. It consists of thought, intelligence, subtle things, you see. Meditate on that too. We're so backwards nowadays. We take our gross body and we go to a gross school and we sit in front of another gross body, which is called a teacher, and we try and cram knowledge into this gross brain, see, and try and remember it. See, but all knowledge is already inside of you. It's already in your subtle body. So if you could somehow go to the realm of the mind and untap that, then you'd see everything there. Not only would you see everything there, you'd see all your lifetimes there that you've lived. And how many times you've played with all of this knowledge through a series of lifetimes. Reincarnation just isn't some figment of someone's imagination. It's what we've been doing for thousands of years. We've witnessed our own birth and our own death so many times that it's ridiculous to be afraid of it anymore. Who else is there watching your death if not you? Does anyone else see you die? See, the body dies, but when you die, you take one of these 35 million nadis and you grab a few of them and you go inward. Your consciousness leaves the physical body because, poof, it's gone. It's no longer imbued with prana, and that prana is a part of your subtle body. 5 pranas. Prana that digests, the prana that moves your blood, the prana that moves your lungs, that's why it's called pranayama when you practice it. The prana that makes your thoughts soar. Prana that makes you sneeze. Actually, there are 3 pranas in the sneeze. One is, here's the up-moving prana. Right now, I'm experiencing the all-pervasive prana. And chew! Now I just experienced the downward moving prana, you see. So what to speak of a sneeze, how about let's take it to our meditation tomorrow morning. Maybe my prana will take my mind, and with the upward moving prana will take it to an elevated place and I'll have a great meditation. Why not? It's my prana, it's my mind, it's my consciousness. Why shouldn't I be able to do that? Why shouldn't I have samadhi if I want to? What are you waiting for? We've had conversations about this. So, fourfold mind, that's antaha karana. I wish we would have a word in English for mind like that when we were young. When I found out that the mind was fourfold in Indian philosophy, I went, marvelous, then tell me what that is. It's ego, it's thought, it's intelligence, and it's mind itself, dual mind. Those are the 4 things in antakarana. And the word antaha means inner, and the word karana means cause. So those 4 things are the cause of your life, the cause of your karma, the cause of everything that you're experienced is happening in the mind first. So these are called mind-only schools. Astika, Nastika, if we can get to it. They're called mind-only schools. All of these schools believe that everything comes out of the mind, not out of nature. We're talking about sperm, ovum, fetus. Well, let's start with food. Food, sperm, ovum, fetus, baby, body, growth, intelligence, death, you see. Hope he gets intelligence somewhere along the way. That's the physical cause of things, and that's what everyone believes in. Science believes in it, medicine believes in it, biology believes in it, families believe in it, ancestors definitely believe in it. See, that's the gross body. They don't know anything what happens after they die and how they get back into the next body. They don't know that consciousness is a continuum. What to speak of that? They don't know that their series of rebirths are a continuum, and their series of deaths are a continuum too. If they knew that, like Buddha found out, they'd say, Kaivalya, I think I want out. I want a divorce from nature. I want to be my formless essence again. Or as Vivekananda put it, I want to be a voice without a form. If he comes to speak to you, then that's what he'll say. I'm a voice without a form. Who are you? I have no name. I was once known as Vivekananda. You see. So that kind of pure conscious awareness, right there, you see. They say at the time of Swamiji's death, little blood ran down the nose. His eyes were up, you see, and all the heat had gone out of his body and his head was still warm. He exited out of that highest chakra, like a fully realized soul would do. His consciousness comes up. But their consciousness of some people are like rainwater. They'll just go down. Where's down? Fear, panic, unconsciousness, that's down. And it didn't need to be that way if you had taken these teachings in your life. And if you had given these teachings to your children when they grew up, then your whole line would be illumined. You wouldn't have any problems. There would be no suffering. No one unaware of teachings in your whole genealogy from then on. Your whole family line, your whole lineage would always be aware of the Dharma. I've made 240 of these charts now, to date. 240. All about different aspects of India philosophy. And I haven't even touched the surface of what's there. See? I think I'm starting to get tired of laminates and paper and figuring all this out, you see. But it's there for people to look at in the future, for a visual, because we need visuals. We need audibles and we need visuals both, to somehow get through the thickness of this Maya that we find ourselves in, so that we can make fear afraid of itself, make doubt itself, and put death in its own grave, right? So then we can use this prana, and to get to the fourfold mind and illumine that fourfold mind. After all, it's the inner cause of everything. They're not calling nature the cause, or sperm and ovum the cause, or food the cause. That's only on the physical level. The real cause is here. That gave rise to the thought sperm, to the thought ovum, to the thought food. The very tree that you get your food off of, the very garden and ground you get your food out of, started out as thought garden. That's how powerful the word is. You wonder, it's such a mystery how everyone gets fed. How does she do it? Does thought ever end? Just keep thinking carrot, apple, lettuce, celery, almond butter. See? And it'll come at you in endless supply because you produced it. It might be a little easier if you treat nature with reverence, so it's productive. I mean, she'll give you Drovia, she'll give you the producer of substances, she'll give you soil, she'll give you air, water, sunlight and all that. Use it in an illumined way. But don't fear death. The world can go to blazes for all we care. It can be polluted and just die as an experiment. Doesn't matter, my soul's eternal. I'm not nature. I'm not the universe. I'm certainly not stardust, thank you very much. I am the originator of all those thoughts. I am she. That's the Tantrist's favorite mantra. I'll give it to you right now as a transmission along the Shakta Advaita Vada path. Saham. Saham, everyone say it. Saham. I am she. Please forgive me for giving away your mantras. Saham, I am she. I am she. Now, you have a causal form, and if the subtle form is a little bit hard to grok, then how much more is the causal form? Because it is the cause of everything. You're going far back into it, into your deep sleep state. This is why we have to use waking, dreaming, deep sleep. For most of us, waking is just everyday life, dreaming is a figment of our imagination, and deep sleep never occurs to us, because we're not there when it happens. We've vacated the premises, you see. But waking, dreaming, and deep sleep is the only thing we can really use to assign, to correlate with these levels of consciousness. They correlate with our gross body, our subtle body, and our causal body. So our causal body in deep sleep must be extremely subtle. In fact, it must be causal. Again, not many words to choose in English to try and explain it. So causal form was there, you see. And what does it consist of? Formlessness? Oh, thanks a lot. You see, that really helps me. Non-vibration. Okay. And equilibrium. Everyone likes equilibrium, you see, peace of mind. You need peace of mind first and foremost. That was one of the things Holy Mother said to us, to my teacher who passed it on. You need peace of mind first and foremost, so you never lose your peace of mind for any reason. Not for job, not for family, not for death. You never lose your peace of mind. That's the one thing you hold sacrosanct. Will not let go of that. From peace of mind, it's a springboard into higher wisdom. With a restless mind, with a slothful mind, you're not going anywhere. So don't make a habit of brooding or laziness. Make a habit of balance, equanimity. The Buddhists call it upeksha or upekshanam. I said that word in prison, in a women's prison once. I was teaching like this and said, yeah, they call it upekshanam. She wrote it down. And then she said later, I kept it on my cell wall all the time, upekshanam. There's something about the word that just really thrilled me. And then she got out and she came to my ashram, took initiation, and she said, I named her Upekshini. Okay, you can be called equanimity. You've come through rough times. You've now reached this equanimity, or I hope she has, and will always keep this equanimity as the foundation of her life, because that was the first word in another language that ever captured her attention. So is there power in words? Yes. Deep, deep power. Are words important? Yes. Extremely important at this stage of the game, when you still have a mind, still have a brain, when you can still reach your brain. Very important. Now, those three things are a bare description, I'm sorry, but that's how they describe causal form. Another way in which one seer describes it is where mind ceases to vibrate and intelligence is held in abeyance. Abeyance means just held in potential only. So everything is put on hold. And it's sort of what you feel like in a good meditation. Isn't everything put on hold? Your doubts, your worries, your problems, your concerns, your fears, whatever it is, or your pleasures, your happiness, everything's put on hold because this is singular, this is unique, this is breathless. All those other things didn't take my breath away. This has taken my breath away. There's a word for that in Sanskrit, sushupti. It's like deep sleep state, right? You just become breathless. It's a kind of samadhi. Kumbhaka is a word for it. Kumbhaka means my in-breath is called puraka, my held breath is called kumbhaka, my held breath and my outer breath is called rechaka. That's everyone who knows about pranayama knows about that. But then at the end of my breath cycle, there's another kumbhaka, where I don't breathe in again. And at death, that's what happens to you. You just breathe out, and there's no more in-breath. Hum. That's the bijam for that. Hum. Everything is destroyed. It's my last breath. See? Now, am I going to be there for it? And am I going to be watching it and be witness of it, so that I can tell myself that death is an illusion? And that I can take my next birth in consciousness. Can I do that? I should practice. I should practice while I'm alive, before I die. Duh. What a novel idea, that I should actually practice my own death, that it might be beneficial to me. So I think I'll assume a breathless state now. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Class over, by the way. And I will go into Kumbhaka Samadhi. You see. So these things need to be experienced and practiced. You do them every night in deep sleep. You do them naturally, but they must be done with your consciousness in tow and intact. So there is a teaching on Hrim. Now the last, we didn't get to the M. You have to close it off, just like every other good closing syllable or letter. She says here, after balancing the breath via pranayama and cognizing the differentiated states of the bija mantra, these are all these things you're supposed to meditate on, and what they signify, Then meditate on that bija and mentally dissolve the gross body into the physical body. The gross body into the subtle body into the causal body, and then the causal body into Hrim, symbolized by the matra M, Hrim. That's the dissolving. And before entering samadhi, focus upon me, the supreme deity, the luminous self-effulgent goddess who is one with Brahman. Beautiful. Before you go into samadhi, let her be your last thought. Practice that tonight. See, before you go into deep sleep, just before you go into dreaming, before you fall asleep out of the waking state, just think of her. See, I salute my Divine Mother, and fall into sleep. Make her your last thought in any dissolution process. Maybe she will show up in all the other divisions of your consciousness. That is, when you come out of deep sleep back into dreaming, you'll have some very powerful dreams, but you don't remember those. Because after you have the powerful dreams, you start having the silly dreams. You're coming down, see, you're coming out from your subtle causal body into your subtle body. And you're approaching the physical body now, and you start having some very silly dreams that are associated with this earth. They're called the 1,000 imbecilities of the mind, in my tradition. And then all of a sudden, poof, you're awake, you see. And as you do, as that process happened, you were imbued with Om. You were flowing through these subtle nadis, and you were imbued with the sound of Om. Om was driving you like a great hurricane with a howling sound behind you. And as you came out, that became less and less and less. As you got closer to the waking state, finally just disappeared. You don't hear it anymore. And you stand up and you go wash your hands. And hopefully you go sit in meditation as soon as you can, because then you can remember back when you left your waking state, what your last dreams were. And maybe you can trace it back to those very powerful dreams that you had and remember them. And maybe from there you can see where you went formless. You could actually perceive where your consciousness went into formlessness in deep sleep, where you went unconscious. See what I'm saying here? Same thing at the time of death, where you went unconscious, and the next thing you knew, you were hanging upside down and your mantra was wah, wah, wah. And your first experience of the world was pain. And you know nothing that happened before that. And so, you were born to ignorant parents, and your ignorant parents don't teach you this either. But what about the Tibetan Book of the Dead? What happens to the Tibetan soul when he passes from the body? His Rinpoche is reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead over him. Oh, see the Buddha light in the distance, go to it, go to it. I mean, he's already dead. And the wife and children say, why are you talking to a dead body? And the Rinpoche says, he's left his body and senses, but he still has his subtle body right nearby. I know all about the subtle body, you don't. Go away. Quit crying. You're going to distract him. I need his full attention so that he can transcend his subtle body, get into his causal body, transcend his causal body, and get to Buddha nature. Isn't that what she just said? Dissolve it all into Hrim? Into the Turiya state? That's beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. It's called Turiya. It's called the fourth. Turiya just means the fourth. It's the name they gave it. Oh, it's a fourth state of my consciousness somewhere. Somewhere deep within me. I lost track of it somewhere in the causal state. And I certainly lost track of it when I came out here back into my physical body and manned my five senses. And my senses were stuck on the objects. I certainly lost track of it then, didn't I? In fact, my subtle and causal body don't even exist when I'm here anymore. I'll only encounter them again tonight when I fall asleep. But what about those beings who experience the insomnia of yoga? They never sleep. You've heard that God never sleeps? Well, there are beings like God who never sleep. So our founder, Lex Hixon, said, yes, they have the insomnia of yoga. So I like that phrase very much, and I picked it up and use it. They stay awake in consciousness all the time because why? Because consciousness is ever awake. It never sleeps. So why should I sleep? Should I fall asleep to my own consciousness? Shame on me. Or at least I should dream consciously, go into deep sleep consciously, awaken consciously, live consciously, and die consciously. So I will think about her every time I transition from one level of consciousness into the next, every time I sit for meditation. See, she is my Ishtam, my Ishta Devata, my Ishta Devi, Mother of the Universe, the protector of all her precious spiritual children who take refuge in her. So, a final quote out of that about the self-effulgent goddess who stands as the progenitress of the whole world, the overseer of the whole word and its process. It's like a huge pool of potential, and she breathes on it. You know, that's in Genesis, in the Bible too, about God breathing on the waters. I went to the Rig Veda and found the same thing in India. God, Mother breathes upon the waters. I have the quote somewhere. So they have the same idea, this breath of life, you know, this shakti power. Breathe upon the waters of Om, and waves will happen. And those waves are worlds, and those worlds are giving rise to peoples, races, cultures, in this vast, vast cosmological process. In the time remaining, which is 10 minutes, I think I will proclaim that there is no time remaining, because I do not want to start the Astika Nastika chart until we have time to look at the full thing. So I will start that first thing next week at 2:30. And that will be live streamed for our audience. And in the final minutes, let's look at this quote. There is actually a good use for those final minutes, because we didn't finish that chart completely. There, she says about this Hrim mantra, after Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, my devotee becomes fit for absorption in the spirit, after understanding the meanings of the separate letters discovered in the seed mantra of Mahamaya. So H-A-R-I-M. When you know the meanings of those letters and what they are assigned to, then you become fit for deep meditation, and you can begin to do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Probably should have put that somewhere on here. Oh no, I have to go about and do another version of this chart. No. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is, Shravana means to hear, Shruti. Shruti is scripture, same Sanskrit root as Shravana, to hear the scripture. Must hear the truth. You must hear the truth, and the truth will set you free. Then, Shravana, she goes to Manana. Manana means mind. I have to hear the truth, but it's not enough just to hear it. I have to roll it over and over in my mind. Manana means a mental process where you reflect, contemplate, and meditate on those things you've heard. Best to do them right after you've heard them, to cement them into your consciousness. Then after that, Nididhyasana, you realize, is that what you said, Nididhyasana? Yes. Nididhyasana means to realize the implication of what you've heard and contemplated. It becomes a part of your own knowledge, your own wisdom. And in fact, remember, your wisdom was there in the beginning already. So you're just returning to your own wisdom via that process. If you've lost your way, you don't know that all this wisdom exists inside of you, in other words, that all the kingdoms of heaven are within you, and you've forgotten that, then you take up hearing the truth, meditating on it, and realizing it, and that will bring you right back to it. This is called the three proofs of truth: Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. It will prove the truth of realization to you. It's what you need. Pramana, you need it. See, right there, you need the proof. So next week we will take up Ashtaka and Nashtaka, the orthodox systems of India and the non-orthodox, in terms of how they get proven through philosophy. Like I said, the cup was there, not there anymore. The fact that it's not there anymore proves the existence and the non-existence of God. There's smoke on that yonder hill, I can see it, so there must be fire there. That's called inference. So if you see smoke, there must be fire, right? That's a proof of truth. In other words, if you see people and beings and intelligent things going on, there must be a God. If you see a creation, how can you say there's no creator? So you use inference to prove these things to yourself. So you don't need to face off with the atheist or agnostic anymore and say, prove it. Okay, sit down. I have a class for you. It'll take you about 3 hours. I'll give you the truth of proof, the proofs of truth, as we see them in my tradition. Do you have the patience for that? And will you be open-minded? I can prove to you through 10 different ways how reality exists. My question to you is, how did you ever forget it in the first place? Because it's obvious. Consciousness is. Existence is. Nobody says, I am not. We all say, I am, I am. So with those words, I leave you here as dusk settles in our Hawaiian island. And we'll end here with our chant. Om Sato, Om Sato Ma Satgamoya, Tamaso Ma Joytir Gamoya, Mrichor Ma Amritam Gamoya, Abira Abira Mayeti, Rudrayati Dakshinamukam, Tainamam Pahinicham, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from darkness to light, from lower truth to higher truth, from the unreal to the real, from the illusion of death to eternal life. Reach us through and through, O Lord and Mother, with thy sweet and benign presence. Om peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om.